Now, as we try to understand what are the major challenges to democracy, let us now to think about the different political reforms. When we talk about the political reforms, you get the confusion, like when we are discussing about the challenges to democracy, we should discuss about the democratic reforms. Why are we discussing about the political reforms? So the democratic reforms or political reforms are meanwhile the same structure of set of rules. The point is, when you want to bring changes in democracy, you need to bring political reforms. Political reforms are nothing but which brings the alignment to the democratic structure and the nature. So when the things are changing, you need to have a clear picture on what to be done and what has to be changed. Let us discuss this with an example. Earlier, when you used to make laws, like for example, let us take cricket. In cricket, the rule of LBW, that is leg before the wicket. The rule of the leg before wicket has initiated or stopped the tactics which are played by the batsman, the bad tactics which are played by the batsman. But when you made this kind of rule, the tactics of the batsmen were arrested, but not the quality of cricket has been improved. The quality of cricket will not be improved basing on this method. The quality of cricket will be improved basing on the coach, basing on the sportsman spirit, basing on the work style, or basing on the practice of the players. So it cannot be said simply that simply if you make the political reforms, you can get the changes in the democracy. And one more fundamental question what we all need to remember while we are giving anything is, the same recipe do not work for every curry. For every curry you have a special recipe that has to be done. So there is a special recipe for chicken, there is a special recipe for mutton curries, there is a special recipe for the vegetarian curries. So we cannot have the same recipe for all the curries, whatever you need, you follow the same formula for everything. So in the same way, we cannot give the same set of rules or practices to have for all the countries. Some may be appropriate for certain countries, some may not be appropriate for certain countries. So depending on the situation and depending on the scenario, it varies from place to place, it varies from situation to situation. So now the question is whether we are able to get the quality of output, the quality of democratic structure done effectively or not. When we are thinking about the problems which can be solved by bringing political reforms, see, when certain laws are passed, it has to be kept in mind that that should be an incentive for the political leader, but not be a ban for the political leader. A new law was passed in certain states where if you have two children, more than two children, you are not allowed to participate in politics. You are not allowed to participate in politics. This is a clear picture of what has to be done, because when many of the women are unintended because they are not having any right or any choice whether they should have how many children. So that has already been happened. Now if they want to be in politics and they have intention to come to politics also, this law makes them to be stopping barrier for them, because they cannot enter into politics because they have more than two children. This is really a tough thing. Let us have an example for a good law. RTI Act. The Right to Information Act, which came into force in 2005, brought us a special right, the special right to question the actions of the government, to ask whether the information seeking to anything whichever the individual wants to know about the actions of the government can definitely ask and get the information on that. So this act made us to enlighten the people on the way the government works. If there is any delay or if there is any kind of lapse that are going on, that can be questioned by using the Right to Information Act. So this is a good law. This provides or enhances beauty for the democracy. Now the point is, you cannot give the same kind of promises or same kind of suggestions to all the democratic structures, stating that these are the common for everything. You cannot use the same recipe for everything. The problem is there are different situations at different places. So the different situations has to be handled according to the local circumstances and the local needs. So these all are seriously has to be taken into consideration. That is the first point. The second point is, when you frame a political law or a political action has to be taken that reflects in the democratic structure, that reflects on the people. So whatever you want to do, make a law which adds beauty or which gets enhancement for the political understanding of the people, not on a question mark for certain sections of people. As we discussed earlier, the quality of cricket cannot be improved just by bringing certain rules and regulations. The quality of cricket can be improved by making the people or the players to participate effectively, the coach having a good trained coach, and all these things gets added beauty for them and also gets quality of cricket output. But when the quality of cricket output is not done properly, and if you don't have a proper coach, the players are not practicing properly, then you cannot expect that we will have the output clear or we will have the quality of playing of the games by the team. So the rules will not get the quality. So when the leg before wicket has been kept in the cricket, only the bad practice of the cricket batsman has been stopped, but not the way the batsman can act. The only way is it can be questioning him or it can be penalized him because he is standing before the wicket. So the point we have to remember is, when certain laws and rules are made, we have to understand the criteria that here, when we are making the laws and rules and regulations, that has to improve the quality, get the advancement towards them. In the same way, if you take an example for where the 2 years or the more than 2 children, if you have, you are not intended to enter into the politics, that is really a doubtful law, because when you mix these kind of laws where the real question mark comes, because most of the people in India tend to have more than 2 children, obviously there is a question mark on larger sections of people who could not enter into politics. And when it comes to another example like RTI Act, the Right to Information Act provides a clear clarity on what has to be done when you need to get information. So the government laws or the political laws, when they are made, it has to be remembered very clearly that political laws should add boost up to the democratic structure. And we also need to remember one of the basic principles, that is political reforms leads to democratic practices. So the political reforms and democratic practices are somewhere interconnected with each other. When it is interconnected with each other, we need to understand that the political reforms or the political laws, political changes, political rights, whatever you want to bring, it will be reflected in the democratic practices. Ultimately, our target is to arrest the challenges to democracy or to effectively deal with the challenges of democracy. When you are dealing with the challenges of democracy, the best machinery is to have political laws. But at the same time, simply just making a political law or a law cannot arrest any kind of situations which are in the undemocratic practices. You need to make the people aware of the situation. You need to make them to understand the situation. Then you can expect certain amount of change with the legal support of the law which is made. Let us take an example of the political parties candidates filing their affidavits. The political party candidates right as that it has to be mandatory to file the affidavit. When the affidavit was made mandatory, people are forced to spend within that restricted amount of money. That is a political right where political practice has been implemented, which affected on the democratic practice. So when the law was made, the party candidates, whoever is contesting in the elections, has to have file the affidavit. The details have to be given, and afterwards there is a limit in the amount of the money that has been spent, and he has to register everything, whatever money he is spending, for how much he is spending, everything. There should be a list, and that is to be checked and verified by the election commission. This has arrested seriously the flow of money in the elections to a larger extent. We do not conclude that yes, everything has been arrested only because of this law, but the initiation of the law, which was made by a legal action, has made a good democratic practice to come up. The money that has been spent for political purpose has been become severely very less. So this kind of developments are required for us to have a clear understanding and to make democracy a truly successful one, and to make the challenges effectively, to accommodate the challenges and to address the challenges. So we have to remember the point here is that political reforms are leading towards the democratic practices. That's why when you use the word about the democratic reforms or the political reforms, both are used as the synonyms, because either you bring the political reform, it reflects in democratic reform. You bring the democratic reforms, nothing but you are doing the political changes. You are doing the changes in the laws. So that's nothing but these two are the synonyms which are used either case. So it is very clear for us to understand, when you want to think about the political reforms, you need to understand that you are going to change the democratic practices. Yes, we have various other set of rules as an example for us to discuss and understand what is actually happening and how can we get idea on the democratic challenges.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.